today, and we're going to be talking a little bit today how we can help preserve these places for this and our future generations. So to begin, I kind of want to go over some logistics quick. So these restrooms are going to be down in our parking lot down to the right. There's also water bottle filling stations. All of our water in the park does come from springs, so it's all safe to drink. You get a good old jug of glacier water, spring water coming through. And if you need to use the restrooms, eat a snack while we're sitting down here, go for it. We're all human beings. We'll take care of ourselves. We're here to have a good time and relax. It's not uptight. It's here for us to enjoy and learn. So with that being said, I've been going to these programs since I was about 6 years old. So I see some junior rangers out in the crowd. And that's how I got my start. At 6 years old, we've been traveling from Indiana. We road trip out here west, and we would camp in the parks every summer for 2 weeks. So that's kind of how I fell in love with the national parks and what followed my degree ultimately, and why I'm out here today. So there's hope for you guys, junior rangers out there, if you're looking to do that one day. So we're going to begin our discussion today with some questions. So a couple reasons why you guys are visiting here today. So shout out why you guys came to Zion today. What are some reasons?
It's beautiful.
Yeah. Beautiful, yeah?
And the crane.
Unique geology.
Yeah.
All those things.
Wildlife, yeah? With what? It's pretty? Yeah? So if you know canyons in Indiana, that's some spoiler alert.
Shh, don't give away.
So then the reverse question, what are some things you guys don't want to see while you're here in a place like Zion or any of the national parks as you're traveling?
Trash.
Trash, yep.
A cougar.
Cougars? Snakes, yeah.
Scorpions.
Scorpions? So a lot of those things with trash and some different animals are things that will top our topic today of leave no trace or outdoor ethics. We'll kind of address some of those things like trash and things that we don't want to see in our beautiful national parks. As that's the reason we're not visiting them to see a trash dump, we're visiting to see these beautiful landscapes. So we're going to kind of talk about how we can help preserve these places. Before we get going, we're going to talk a little bit about poop and animal poop here in the park. So does anyone know the term we use to describe animal poop
Scat.
in the park? Scat, yep. So our little game of who pooped in the park. It was going to be who scat in the park, but that's not as fun as who pooped in the park. So I have 5 examples of animal scat here in the park. All these animals can be found in the park. That's your hint. And I'm going to go around. These are all models. They're not real poop. If anyone has any guesses, I'll go around. If you have any guesses, shout them out. What animal this poop might belong to?
Is that an elk? Elk? I'm saying elk or deer.
Not a giraffe. Bigger than a deer.
Elk?
Bigger than an elk. Think of like a fuzzy mountain lion.
Cougar.
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 A mountain goat. Big fuzzy bear.
Bear.
Bear, yeah. So it's black bear. Black bear poop. We do have black bears up on our plateau, so about 2,000 feet higher than we're standing right here on the canyon ground. So there are black bears up on our plateaus.
Huh.
Not so many, but there are black bears here in the park, just more towards the plateaus and higher elevations. So very good. Our next one will be this one here. Water. This one here.
Bunny. Hang away around. Bird.
Bigger than a rat.
Squirrel. Hang away around.
Kind of like the same shape as a squirrel.
Hang away around.
One of them tailed rats.
About a rat, but a little bit.
Chipmunk.
Fox.
Not a chipmunk. Think of like maybe a smelly squirrel.
Skunk.
Yep. So this is striped skunk poop. So we do have a lot of striped skunks in the park, and this is an example of striped skunk poop. Or scat. We want to be biologically classroom correctly. Alright, this one here.
Deer. Eel.
Smaller than a deer.
Squirrel.
Yep. This is coyote poop. So we do have coyotes here in the park. This is a perfect example of some coyote poop. Alright, our next one here, and they are not baked beans.
Bunny.
That's definitely deer.
Deer? What kind of deer do we have here in the park?
I'm gonna say you're
Mule deer.
Yep, so we have mule deer here in the park. So this is a perfect example of mule deer. The ones you see little, kind of some of their antler season right now. Then our next one here.
Bunny.
Not a bunny.
Chipmunk.
It's a bird.
A bird.
Raven. Condor.
Red-tailed hawk.
Not a condor.
Raven.
Not a hawk. Yep. So this is wild turkey. So come
Oh,
Thanksgiving,
turkey.
you might see this.
Shoulda
If
got
they get
that.
more nervous, they might poop some more. But this is wild turkeys. That was one of the coolest animals when I first came over here. To see wild turkeys run around in a desert, that's something I never expected. So really cool. We do have wild turkeys here in the park, and they are native. Don't worry, they are not invasive turkeys. Turkeys don't usually act like that. Our next one here is not this little Oreo circle or these little Cocoa Pebbles. We're looking at the Cocoa Pebbles. So what animal do these kind of little Cocoa Pebbles
Squirrel.
here?
Bunny.
Smaller than a squirrel.
That's gotta be the rat. Some sort of rat.
Smaller than a rat. I call them like desert squirrels.
Huh.
Not a pinyon jay.
Rock squirrel.
Not a rock squirrel. Think more like reptile.
Lizard.
Yep.
Lizard.
Lizard poop. So these
Good
little
job.
pebbles here are an example of lizard poop, which we have 4 or 5 native species of lizards here in the park. So this is a perfect example of lizard poop. Now I want everyone to kind of close their eyes. Imagine they're, a nice sunny day, not like right now. You're walking around the park. You're hiking maybe towards the Narrows, Riverside Walk, on the Kayenta Emerald Pools trails. You smell the mineral water. You hear the breeze, and then everyone can open their eyes, and you get a waft of this poop. Any guesses whose poop this might be? A little hint, they use toilet paper. Yep.
Ew.
So this is human poop. This was just last summer,
Ew.
found in the Narrows. So this is what we're going to talk about today. So animals, they're allowed to poop here in their natural habitat, but humans, we'll talk about how we can poop in the park. And this is just not the way to do it. I'll give you a little hint. We don't just poop and leave toilet paper in the park. So we're going to talk about how we can do this, how we as humans can poop in the park
Dig a hole.
in just a second. But to kind of like tie this all into why the national parks exist and why we're talking about Leave No Trace, it can all be traced back to our mission statement of the National Park Service. So I won't bore you down and make you read this, so I bolded it. We'll do the Spark Notes together. So the mission statement of the Park Service is to preserve unimpaired the natural and cultural resources for this and future generations. One thing I always like to note about this is that oftentimes we're thinking, oh, it's just for the next generation. We're just doing this. It's not about us. It's about the next people. But here in a very mission statement, it says for this and future. So it's not only just for our kids' kids in the future. It's for us right now too. So if we want to come back, in a couple weeks, couple years, to visit this beautiful place, it's a great way for us to make sure these places stay preserved, and that we can come visit them in the same way. Like I was saying earlier, if this was a trash dump and people just left trash everywhere, probably wouldn't want to come visit as much if this was not how it looked today. So